And I got a little tidbit. I held on to this nugget. I don't know if you guys know this, but I've been there day one. You guys know that. I also was on episode 176 picking Volkan Ozdemir versus Anthony Smith against Kenny. This is TJ DeSantis called. It was the Fox Sports days. I don't think I left an impression because the second time went better. But here we are, baby. We're back, Bubba.
You definitely left an impression. I can't speak to the delay before the second appearance. Do you remember when you took over full time as the chief handicapper on the Anik Florian podcast?
So I remember the first time I did it was in September 2020, maybe 2021. I can't remember. I was on vacation with my family. And then soon after that, March-ish.
Yeah.
After we met in Columbus is kind of when I was full time with it. Yeah.
But yeah, after that second appearance, I was like, I need this guy.
Nice.
Do you think Evan Longoria, former all-star third baseman, Major League Baseball, do you think that his support of you helps you on this show in terms of your status?
1,000%. The guy's all time. He's aces. He's texting me all the time. I mean, this dude is a fucking future Hall of Famer, and he send me a text like, hey, what do you like in this co-main event? At midnight. You know what I mean? Great. It's like, the guy's the best, man.
Well, I was just going to say, you actually don't need Longo's support to keep your job. But I love him, and he's an absolute legend. And if Scotty Rowland's in the Hall of Fame, can we make some room for fucking Evan Longoria, please?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
UFC Fight Night, Lemos versus Jandiroba. Venue, UFC Apex. 6 main card predictions from the fellas today. How about Ken Flo prepping for like 5 interviews and all these fights as well?
Stud.
First fight for us is going to be at featherweight, boys, where Bill Algeo is the minus 170 betting favorite against Duho Choy. He comes back plus 142. Strange UFC career, Bri, for the Korean Superboy Duho Choy. The fight against Cub Swanson, UFC 206, back in 2016. UFC Hall of Fame class of 2022, but he's fought just 6 times since his 24 UFC debut. So sometimes as a handicapper, I'd imagine it's hard to know what you're in for. What do you make of the featherweights here to kick off the main card?
It's tough to cap him. You know, he had that military service, and then he just took 2 years off, I think, to get healthy. His last time out was a draw against Kyle Nelson because he gave up 6 takedowns, but his hands look good. He outstruck him 50-20. I feel like he was a little gun shy because his 3 fights before that, he got finished. We need that Korean Superboy coming out guns a-blazing because Bill Algeo, excuse me, on the tail end of his career, I would say, he's a great guy, but he's 37. First time he's ever been put out was his last time out. That scares me a little bit. A guy who's never not known for his defense. It's kind of funky in there. Duho Choy can crack, and Duho Choy is fast as long as you stop the takedowns. And I like saying his name, Duho Choy. Nothing against Bill Algeo. I did last time break it down. I did say he was from Philly, and a guy DM'd me. He goes, no, he's from the King of Prussia. Sorry, I guess they don't have water ice in the King of Prussia, Philly. My bad. But I like Duho Choy as the underdog price here. Bill Algeo can easily steal this if he wants to mix in the takedowns and stuff, which he might because he's coming off his first knockout loss. But, I don't know. There's something about the Duho Choy. And I just keep saying his name, so I'm going to bet him.
I got King of Prussia, Pennsylvania in my notes as well, Ken Flo. That's where Bill Algeo's out of, 35 years of age. Fought March 30th of this year. That was, of course, also against Kyle Nelson. Stopped his win streak at 2. He is the favorite here against Duho Choy. Ken Flo, your thoughts?
Yeah, got hurt pretty bad in that last fight. Had him winning that last fight, or picked him to win that last fight. Didn't go his way. But he's a little inconsistent. But I think that if he can mix in takedowns against Duho Choy and just use long-range strikes, I think he can pull it off. So I'm leaning towards Algeo. Curious to see how Duho Choy looks coming back after a little bit of a layoff.
All right, next up, sneaky big fight here at flyweight, boys. Right, BP? You know what it is. 14th ranked Cody Durden, minus 122, taking on Bruno Silva, plus 102. Bulldog Silva out of Sao Paulo, Brazil. He's won 3 straight after going winless in his first 3 in the UFC. Hasn't fought, though, since the submission win over Tyson Nam. That was March of 2023, long time ago. Now returning against American top teams. Custom-made Cody Durden.
Nice.
He's probably going to reveal the custom-made nickname this weekend.
Love it.
Now, he had won 4 in a row not all that long ago, Bri. Coming off a loss here against Tagir Ulanbekov, who face-cranked him last December. Durden or Silva, pretty close on paper here, BP.
Yeah, tough fight. Cody Durden is nails. I mean, the guy really is. I know a lot of people, he's not everyone's flavor, I guess I would just say, but I think he's a good guy, and then Bruno Silva got put through the fucking grinder in his debut, right? His first 3 fights were tough dudes and he's rattled off some wins. He's feeling comfortable with his hands. He's good on the ground. This is going to be interesting because Cody's a guy who he likes to box a little bit, but I get a little worried because it's not the best thing in the world. He gets hit a little too much for my liking. He wants to be on top. He wants to create scrambles. He has been submitted before. Silva has that game, but I just think American Wrestling is going to win on this one. I think Cody Durden's just going to outgrind him for 3 rounds, possibly get a decision. I like the over a lot. The over is only set at like minus 310 on DraftKings right now, over 2.5. I kind of love that play right there, and money line Cody Durden.
Nicely done, BP. Ears sound fine to me. We need those ears good.
We're back.
We need those ears good for the podcasts.
Man.
So, Kenny, fight ready versus American Top Team here. Bruno trains in Arizona still, if I'm not mistaken. I'm curious. I'm sure somebody crunches these types of numbers as to team versus team records, but a lot of these big gyms historically have a lot of experience against one another. It's always the athletes, though, who decide it. We got Bruno Silva, custom made, Cody Durden, Ken Flo. Who do you like?
Yeah, I kind of see it the same way as Brian. I do think wrestling is going to be the deciding factor in this fight, just because I think they're pretty even when it comes to the striking game. And, judges are going to favor those takedowns. If it is close, I think that is usually the deciding factor, especially a guy who knows how to keep position. As long as he's able to stay out of things like guillotines and arm locks, I think he's going to be able to chip away with ground and pound and get it done on that end. And it's interesting, though, that both these guys have lost to the same guy, Ulumbekov. So I think Cody's probably poised to take the win here. Should be close, but give me Cody Durden.
All right, next fight for us on the main card coming up, UFC Fight Night this weekend, is at lightweight, and I'm going to employ the pronunciation file here. Now, we got a lot of fan feedback on the pronunciation of the week segment. Some people want us to kill it. Some people want it to continue. It will continue in some form. In part because I fucking need it, right? And this next name I can't really pronounce. Now, Kurt Holobaugh is the plus 114 underdog fighting this other gentleman who's the minus 135 betting favorite, Bri. Do you care to give this a gander before we play the file?
Of course.
All right, Bri, what do you have for us?
I mean, I'm going to fucking butcher it, but here we go. I'm going to go. Maybe now you're in my head about it. Now here we go. No, fuck it. Go. Kanyan Khrushchevsky.
I mean,
yeah, come on, man.
It's like it's weird how it gets in your head. And
this doesn't sound like a Brazilian.
You age like
all.
In reverse 25 years, and all of a sudden you sound like a 5-year-old. I mean, like I'll butcher it here, but at least I'll sound 46.
Sure.
Kainan Khrushchevsky. I think something like Kainan Khrushchevsky. Cody, do you have that file for us, kid?
Let's nail that.
Kainan Bahia Khrushchevsky. Kainan Bahia Khrushchevsky.
Kainan Khrushchevsky, maybe?
Yeah, Kainan. Yeah.
Either way, he's out of Salvador Bahia, Brazil. He's 33. Lost his UFC debut by knockout to Elvis Brenner last year. 15-2 as a pro, Bri. Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Pretty good Muay Thai. Good strength of schedule pre-UFC. And now he draws the recent Ultimate Fighter winner, Kurt Holobaugh. What do we think? We betting this fight, Bri, or what?
I'm betting it. I like Khrushchevsky. And by the way, that's not a Brazilian name. That's like a Chicago guy who sells like Polish hot dog name. What are we doing here?
Yeah,
with the
I was
ski
surprised.
At the end of it. Huh?
Born in Brazil too, if I'm not mistaken.
You got an answer for this guy, but no, he's
in Brazil.
He's very talented. I was going to go with the guy. This fight I went back and forth with. Kurt Holobaugh, Bo is a grinder. He's an old dog that's been in there with everyone. He's had his run in UFC, won the Ultimate Fighter, and he is good off his back. He's good on his feet, and he's tough to finish. But Khrushchevsky, I think this guy has it everywhere. I think this guy's really good. Yes, he lost his UFC debut versus Elvis Brenner. That dude's a fucking animal. That dude's a stud. That's okay that we lost that. Look at his fights before that fight, before the UFC fight. This dude's a dog, and he's fighting good people, and he's winning a lot of different ways. He has been knocked out twice, so obviously I'm a little worried about the feet. He is 33 years old, so he's not like this young dude coming in, but he's experienced, and he's well-rounded. And with the low number, I mean, yeah, you could take the plus money on the veteran. That's what a lot of people are going to see going to do. I think this numbers are going to move a little bit. Give me the new guy. Give me Khrushchevsky. Give me the Brazilian, even though he doesn't sound Brazilian. I'm riding with him.
Kemflo, Khrushchevsky, the favorite, Holobaugh, the underdog, Holobaugh, losing that Ultimate Fighter momentum, the loss to Trey Ogden. He's 1-5 in the UFC. So Kurt in a big spot here. Obviously, he has the Ultimate Fighter contract, but how do you think he fares here as a slight dog against the dude whose name I can't pronounce?
Man, he's a good fighter, man. He's from Brazil, man. Very good strike. He's very black belt in jiu-jitsu. Doesn't have too much experience, but man, he's a good fighter. Okay, so Khrushchevsky. This is the guy who I agree with. I think he has the advantage here.
I'm not going to listen to what you have to say about this fight anymore. So if you want to get back to doing that English Brazilian thing, we can do that. Otherwise, we can move on to the next fight. At this point, I truly don't care about your pick.
Hey, Coach Holobaugh is very good. Good guy.
He is a good guy too, right?
Good guy, but crazy guy, man. Check down. Good check down, man. He gets on choppy, has good submission. But I think for this guy, man, I think he's much better. So I pick him, man. I think he's going to win.
Dude, that is so good. Like, good. I mean,
I've heard him do Connor too, Pacino. Like, I hit my Philly water ice, got crickets. This guy's over here. Man.
Well, he's he did this video with Renato Laranja. I don't know if you've seen Heach, but we're scheduled to be joined by Renato as the kicker on this 500th episode today. And going to re-rack some of that footage for you folks, which is just spectacular.
So good. The video of Piven's good too that you did a while ago. That was a good video too.
Yeah, the amount of money that Kenny, forget Bitcoin, the amount of money that Kenny left on the table by not acting is disgusting. All right. Next up, featured bout in the featherweight division, Mean Machine. Fucking love me some Mean Machine. Steve Garcia, -142, Sungwoo Choi, +120. So Steve Garcia, good fighter, good family, tough kid, legendary coaches, Greg Jackson, Mike Winklejohn. And now he's got 3 straight UFC wins, by knockout or TKO. What do you think about this one here, featured bout in the men's featherweight division?
Yeah, I love that his name's Mean Machine because he doesn't, he's kind of got the thing with me. Like, I couldn't get away with Mean Machine, but he's a fucking bad dude in there, right? He's very unassuming. I slept on him for a while, but his striking's very good. His knockout is above average or way above average, in my opinion. And he's really good. He's finally finding himself as well. You can tell when he's in there and his coaches are coaching him up. They're like, bro, this is not what you do in the gym. Get your ass in there and let's go. And he really responds well to his coaches, and he's getting better and better and more confident while he's in there. Now, this is a really good matchup for him with Choy because Choy likes to stand up as well. Choy's been clipped before. He sometimes tends to get wild in there, and sometimes it works out in his favor, but I feel like that's not going to work out when you go against Steve Garcia. I think Garcia is going to kick the legs. He's going to move. As long as he stops the takedowns, I think it's going to be a striking clinic for Mean Machine Steve Garcia, and I like him. I like him big here.
Is that a Poetan t-shirt you're wearing with a fucking jaguar on it? Or a cheetah?
Fire.
Yeah. What is that animal?
I think it's a jaguar.
Jaguar. Where do you buy your Poetan t-shirt?
This was it was a link in his Instagram bio. I got this. I got the shirt where he's like this, right? And they gave me a trading card with it. I mean, geez, Louise.
If we're doing confessionals, Bri, if we're doing confessionals as MMA fans, there's my Poetan sticker on my laptop. I've been on the website myself. There's my fucking Poetan sticker.
I've said this a million times. I can't order too much MMA because I'm the MMA guy. It's a little too on the nose. After his performance against Yuri 2, I literally ordered these shirts at midnight. I was like, I have to. And it was too hard to pick one. So this Jaguar is fire right here. I had to get this and the other one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I try to support as many of the fighters as I can. If I see their merchandise, right, I bought a Chiwiwis hat that I will wear in support of Raul Rosas Jr. I didn't buy like Miranda Maverick's pickles because I don't want the glass jars fucking cracking on my front door. And now Miranda's probably going to message me like, hey, we ship in plastic, you fucking asshole, Kenny, we were talking, I think, about Sungwoo Sting Choi. He's 4-5 in the UFC. Good striker, long for the division. I don't know if you want to do a South Korean accent. I would suggest probably not. He's been a bit inconsistent, as the 4-5 suggests. Signature win for him, 2021 bonus winning stoppage of Julian Erosa. Pretty good matchup here, Ken Flo. Give us a prediction here in 30 seconds or less, if you would.
Yeah, that would be our last episode, 500 episodes. But at least we made it to 500. I'm going to keep it short here. I like Steve Garcia here. I'm surprised that the odds are this close, so I'm going to go with Steve.
Steve Garcia, if he can make it 4 in a row, be very interesting. Yeah. All right, co-main event in the middleweight division. The Iron Turtle, Jung Yong Park, minus 185. Brad Tavares, plus 154. So, Bri, we'll start with you here.
Yeah.
Park fought 3 times last year, 2 submission wins and a split decision loss to Andre Muniz. Strong UFC schedule overall. UFC debut came against Anthony Fluffy Hernandez back in the day. And now in Tavares, he draws one of the biggest names of his career, to be sure. Any strong lean for us, Bri, on the co-main event?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I wouldn't a super strong lean, but I like the Iron Turtle. 4 Korean fighters on this card as well. It'd be pretty cool if this was in South Korea instead of the Apex. But I digress. Listen, Jung Yong Park is a guy that likes to move forward. He wants to get on top of you. He wants to clinch you. Tavares has really good takedown defense, but in the clinch, Tavares sometimes lets you clinch him, he lets you dictate the fight. Tavares is very good in distance with his kicks, but when you dictate the fight on Tavares, he just kind of lets you go and he'll let the 3 rounds go by. There's really no sense of urgency, at least in his last couple performances. I thought he could have maybe stopped Chris Weidman. Maybe that was a show of respect that he didn't. But I need more from Tavares, especially being a vet. And I haven't seen it, but I've seen enough from Jung Yong Park, the Iron Turtle, to get this done. He's going to march. He's going to slow and steady, the Iron Turtle, win a 3-round decision. And I'm going to cash some money on that because God knows I need it. Kenny's Florian. We'll get to that later. He's kicking the shit out of me, but I need the money.
Yeah, you are facing your largest deficit of 2024. So we'll see what this weekend holds for you. As to the co-main event, Ken Flo, Jung Yong Park, minus 185. Brad Tavares, plus 154. Park, 33. One of several South Korean fighters to be showcased on this card, taking on the Hawaiian Tavares, who is 15-9 in the UFC. Outstanding body of work, Ken Flo, for Brad Tavares. You're only as good as your last fight, though. That was a stoppage loss for him in February against Gregory Rodriguez. He'll be 37 in December. Your thoughts on him here in another big spot against the Iron Turtle? Well,
BP, now you know how I felt last year. You smoked me last year, so I guess it's my turn. Okay, so this is an interesting fight. I think that Weidman has certainly faced the tougher competition. You look at, his last 4 fights. I mean, all big names, tough fighters. Weidman, Rodriguez, Bruno Silva, Dricus du Plessis. There's not a lot of guys that are going to get wins against those guys. But I think Tavares, it's going to be critical for him to really establish himself out there. And like Brian said, I think sometimes he gets really comfortable in the clinch. He does have great takedown defense, but can't be complacent here. I'm leaning towards Park. I just think he'll be able to put together a overall better MMA package. And I see him probably winning by decision.
All right, nicely done. And by the way, anytime you want to pay off that bet in any manner from last year, to me and Petrie, Ken Flo, you and Cody,
I thought you guys were going to forget about that.
Yeah, so you can either crack a beer bottle over your head. We've said you can soften the glass by putting rocks in it. You can do a fucking shoey. I don't care if you come out here want to take shots at Cuervo.
I'm just going to smash mine over Cody's head, so we're good.
Yeah, that works. That's fine. That is fine as long as Cody obliges. He's got that New Hampshire tough. I'm sure he'll be fine. Just fucking skull it, Cody. You guys probably did that back in the day. All right. Main event between a couple of top 5 ranked strawweights. I really don't think we should play the Vina Jandiroba file anymore. She's the minus 142 favorite against Amanda Lemos, who is plus 120. So Lemos fought for the world title last August, showed a lot of grit in lasting 5 rounds against Zhang Weili, then responded in kind. Of course, Ken Flo, fight of the night win over Mackenzie Dern. That was in February at UFC 298. Now she is the slight underdog in this headlining spot against Vina Kakara Jandiroba. Ken Flo, kick us off in the main event, UFC Fight Night. Who do you have?
Okay, this is by far the trickiest fight on the card, in my opinion, because Lemos can win this fight. I mean, if she's on her game, her striking is a problem. She also is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, probably not at the level of someone like Jandiroba, but, she's not clueless down there. She knows how to move. She knows how to defend. She stayed alive against some really tough spots against Mackenzie Dern. I think she'll be in some of those very same spots, however, here against Jandiroba, because I think Jandiroba has a significantly better takedown game than Mackenzie Dern. And she has a knack for getting these takedowns up against the cage. Her striking is good enough to get to those clinches safely. Not good enough to stay the whole time against someone like Lemos for 25 minutes, certainly, maybe not even 15 minutes. However, I think her ground game, her positional game, her submission game will get the job done at some point. It may go to decision, and I think she'll have enough with her grappling to get it done there. But you cannot count out the striking of Lemos. I think it's a pretty interesting fight here, but I'm leaning towards Jandiroba.
No, it really is. It's a great fight. It's a great division. I was having a little bit fun earlier thinking about myself sitting down to watch this fight at 65 years of age. But Jandiroba has really rounded into form, Bri. Mm-hmm. She's won 3 in a row, vaults into the top 5. And I just have a lot of respect for the way she has gone about her career. Last 3 wins over Angela Hill, Marina Rodriguez, most recently in impressive fashion in the role of underdog against Lupi Godinez. Maybe a title fight in 2025 if she wins here. Your thoughts on Lemos and Jandiroba in the main event, BP?
Well, it's the battle of the haircuts. I mean, their haircuts are unmatched in this division. I mean, both these women can never change their hair because it's iconic.
Yep.
This is really tough fight. It really is. Lemos got taken down 6 times by the champ, right? Zhang Weili got taken down 6 times and then once by Mackenzie Dern, but she defended well. But Dern's obviously takedowns aren't to the level of, say, a Weili or, say, a Jandiroba, who when she came into the UFC, that's all she did was look for singles, look for doubles, and she has gotten a lot better. She is willing to strike. I'm really curious to see if there's going to be pressure on Jandiroba to make this interesting, to make this exciting. It's a 5-round main event. Her face and name was on the poster. Is there any pressure internally of saying, I can't really hang on her legs? Let me mix things up here. Let me try to go for a finish. Let me do some things stand up to try to get Lemos. Because if she does that, I think that's going to be a problem. I think if she goes outside of her game, I think Lemos gets her. I'm taking the underdog in Lemos. I think she's just a little more well-rounded, a little more skilled, but this is going to come down to a decision. I'm not willing to put a ton of money on it. If any money, definitely bet the over, maybe a submission prop. If Jandiroba does get it to the ground, she's kind of slick when she takes the back. But other than that, I think I'm going to avoid. But give me Lemos.
All right, nicely done there. And if anyone wants to send me, speaking of faces on posters, a Florian Lozon poster from 08.
Tough to find. I've looked.
Yeah.
Tough to find.
I would take Florian Gomi, I guess, although I didn't love Kenny's hair in that fight. It was like my son's. It was like going over his ears.
Were you on the poster against Shirk?
Oh,
you had to have been, right? When you fought Shirk?
I'm not sure.
You had to have been, right? I can't remember off the top of my head. Yeah. Huh.
I think so. Actually, I think so.
I know you were on the DVD cover.
I had it somewhere.
Yeah.
All right, place your bets. Brought to you by KennyFlorian.com and JohnAnik.com, where you can find all of your Anik and Florian podcast merchandise and One More Sleep merchandise as well. I think we have a promo code UFC 304. Also, Bilal Muhammad's merchandise line can be accessed at JohnAnik.com. 100% of the proceeds of Bilal's merch goes to Gaza. All right. Let us update the standings. Always gives me anxiety. Hope I get BP's figure right when I don't check thoroughly. Team Florian, year to date was about $1,400. You had $750 straight on Jean Silva. Outstanding, Ken Flo, right? What conviction, right? That paid you $652.17. You did give $250 back on C-Rod Christian Rodriguez. Net profit for the week, though, plus $402.17. Team Florian year to date plus 1861.19. Team Petrie, pretty good job on the board by you as well, brother. 200 straight on Montel Jackson at minus 148. That page in 135.14. You had 100 straight on Julian Erosa plus 170. Really well done. You also had Jean Silva by KO at plus 175. Another $175 there. You did give back $500 on Santiago Ponzinibbio in a fight that really could have gone your way. And then $100 on that Tracy Cortez prop. So overall, minus 119.86 for the week.
Yep.
And year to date, minus 998.09. Ken Flo's lead, a year high, 28.59 and change. All right. You each have $1,000 to spend. UFC Fight Night, Lemos versus Jandiroba. BP,
Yes.
lead us off.
Woo. I'm going to keep it short. I'm going to keep it a little sweet, right? I got 2 bets, right? Give me Mean Machine Steve Garcia for 500, right? Let's just go for it. I trust the kid striking on point. And let's go the Iron Turtle. He's not going to let me down. Another 500 on that. 2 bets. Let's keep it simple. $1,000.
Nicely done, Bri. Ken Flo, sitting on a pretty big lead here. I know it's still mid-July, but what are we doing with this here UFC Fight Night?
I still have to bring it. I respect Brian Petrie way too much here. I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to spread it out like Oprah.
Oh.
Garcia gets 200. Jandiroba gets 200. Duran gets 200. Alio gets 200. Krzyzewski gets 200. I'll say it again if you need.
Yeah, can you say it just a little slower? But I did get 200 on Steve Garcia.
Yes, sir.
200 on Vina Kakara Jandiroba.
Yes, sir.
What else you got?
Durden,
For how much?
200.
Okay.
Algio, 200.
Yep.
Krzyzewski, 200. I'm spreading it all around.
Done.
All right. So a lot of main card straight wagers for our betting audience to work with there from the fellas. If you want more from Brian Petrie, he has his own podcast, the MMA Takes podcast at Brian Petrie MMA. Hey, thanks for everything you do and continue to do for the show, buddy. Great job today. We will talk to you next week in advance of the big one, UFC 304, Edwards v. Muhammad 2.
500 episodes. You boys, this relationship, this chemistry does not work for 500 episodes. It can go for 5 million more. I am so glad to be a small part of it. I know in MMA Twitter, in the capping spear, in the content spear, this is the dream job. And guess what? I fucking got it, boys. Chief handicapper right here. Thanks, boys.
Thank
Good,
you.
man.
I'm extending your contract through 2025 because you just said that.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Brian Petrie with us here, as is always the case on the Anik Florian podcast.